And we are live with another episode of the Secret Invasion After Show. This is episode 3. We're here to talk about episode 3 of the Secret Invasion, and this is episode 3 of the Secret Invasion After Show. So it all lines up, and that's super awesome. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera.
I'm a good co-host, Riddhi.
And if you can watch us, if you're seeing us live, you can see us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Or you're listening to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. But it's not just me as host and Riddhi as co-host. We also got special guest Sarah B, aka Movies and Tea.
Hi guys.
Do you like having like that rhyme? Is that
like,
part of it?
I didn't think about it until you said it out loud. I'm like, whoa, that rhymes.
That's what you gotta do. Take that ball and run with it, you know?
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I'm all about rhymes. I'm all about puns. And sometimes it's really hard to like get Dimithri to work with anything, you know? But Sarah B, Movies and Tea.
Name. Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
I feel like you can get your last name to rhyme with something.
Perera?
Yeah, I'll send you something. It will work. We'll figure it out.
Okay. I feel like Dimithri would rhyme with more things than Perera would, but okay. Dimithri has Peachtree. That's the only thing that I know.
That's a good one.
You know, that's the only thing I got. Mm-hmm. But, you know. What does Riddhi rhyme with? So
like any other like city. Okay, I'm trying to think of an actual word though.
Yeah. We'll have to work on that. We're gonna get a think tank together and start branding, you know, ourselves, especially online, especially now that Twitter's on the downturn and Threads is new. But we're not here to talk about Threads. But you know, go Meta, I guess. Talk about a secret invasion, you know? Zuckerberg, a Skrull or not?
Oh, yeah, 100% a Skrull.
Yeah.
I would say it's more of Musk, but...
You think Musk is a Skrull, but Zuckerberg's just a normal human being?
I don't know if he's a Skrull. I say, like Elon really wants to go to Mars, which is, like, a little... If it's anyone who's alien, I'd say it's more Musk than Zuckerberg. That's all. That's
fair. Zuckerberg, though, seems like, you know those, in Marvel, there's the broccoli people?
Yeah.
He's like one of those broccoli people.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, we're on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Keeg Show, so he can't reach us here, I think. But we're here to talk about episode 3 of Secret Invasion. Obviously, we got co-host Riddhi. We got special guest Sarah B, Movies and Tea. The question is, what happened in this episode? Riddhi is going to break down this episode, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty with Riddhi.
I love that. Nice.
Oh, that's good.
There we go.
Like consulting services for writing or something.
See?
New side hustle. Anyway, so yeah, episode 3 was pretty packed. I think I'm just gonna like run through some of the big reveals. So we find out that Nick Fury, he knows about his wife as a Skrull. I think that was a pretty big point of contention in our last discussion.
Mm-hmm.
They've been married for a bit, and their relationship's on the rocks because Nick is kind of out and about, and his wife Vara never knows where he is, and she just feels like there's a disconnect. We found out that Gaia has been feeding information to Talos this entire time, and so she's like the infiltrator, or not the infiltrator, the traitor within the Skrull rebel group. We also find out that Super Skrulls is officially a part of Gravik's plan.
He said it. He said the name.
Yeah, he did say the name, and he wants as part of like, and he is creating Super Skrulls to basically bring about his goal of human extinction so that the Skrulls can take over the planet. And he was trying to incite an entire war, World War III, by launching one of the submarines, and so that was going to cause chaos. Obviously, that plot was thwarted by none other than Nick Fury and Talos, who got a little bit help from Gaia, who gave them the final code. And at the end, unfortunately, Gaia does get killed by Gravik, And the only important tidbit I'm missing is that there was a meeting between Gravik and Talos that they had together, and that was pretty intense.
Something that we had talked about previously, is that I don't know who to trust. And not just who to trust, that's just part of the story. But I don't know what to trust. Because Gaia does die in this episode, but I don't know whether I believe it. And I'm still not sure about Maria Hill. I'm still not sure. Because we don't see her, her body after death.
Mm-hmm.
I think Maria Hill could come back. She was acting a little bit sus. Like Kobe Smulders was acting a little sus on Twitter a few days ago. She was like, I don't know anything about Maria Hill. Like, it's all over. But then she was like, in like a sub tweet, she was like, well, there's the multiverse. I don't know. It feels like she's like, I'll probably come back, but you just don't know it yet.
It could also be the thing that like she doesn't come back in this show.
Yeah.
But she'll pop up way later or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mr. Plow, shout out to Mr. Plow in our chat on Twitch. Mr. Plow says it was a pain to get her body from the Russian government. That's what Fury said to her mother. So it is a little bit sus, the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, it's very sus.
Are you in the same boat, Sarah, that like what is real? Like, are you confused?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like through this whole episode, I was like really on edge with Talos because he had that meeting with Gravik, and I was like, wait, what if this is all Gravik the whole time? Like he set the whole thing up. It's just him playing along the whole episode. So yeah, I was like really shook. I don't know. I don't know who to trust. The only person that I think I can follow through this show is Nick Fury. But like even in those moments, I'm still like, it could be you. But like we're following you, so I'm almost 100% sure it's you.
Yeah. But then there's also like when Nick Fury walks into the bar to talk to Talos, I was like, is he a Skrull? You know, like anyone could just pretend for a split second, you know, if they're not tested. I'm surprised nobody has like more code words to like, but then again, the Skrulls will know it, right?
Yeah. I mean, they like kind of revealed that in the first episode when they captured the humans, like took their memory, so they would have that code if it was like made later or made earlier. So I feel like it wouldn't work. I feel like that's like a Harry Potter type thing, like, oh, who's a Death Eater? But I feel like it wouldn't work here.
Yeah. There's just no way to like foolproof. The only way you could do it is chop everybody's fingers off. Like, you know? But also, to what extent does chopping a part of your body off work? Like, something that I had meant to bring up in a past episode. Do Skrulls get dandruff? And if they do, is their dandruff, like, green? You know what I mean? It's like dead skin cells on their scalp. So, but if they're in human form, it would be like whatever the human skin color is. And then, but when it separates, it would be dead. So then it'd be green, right?
I don't know, because we saw like Gravik, his hand got sliced in half this episode, and it was
he
like
has extra
red.
powers.
Right, that's true.
That was the extremis. Yeah. So that's the extremis. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing a Skrull with powers, and that's the extremis powers.
Right.
Though why do
I don't know about the dandruff.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say is like if you clip their toenails, can you like what's the smallest piece that you can take from a Skrull in disguise to test whether they're a Skrull? You know?
Well,
jokes
you have to
aside.
like test it. Yeah, I mean, okay. I majored in biology, so I feel like I got this.
Yeah.
But like also at the same time, this is like not biology. I feel like if you're measuring DNA, you can take a toenail, you can take like a hair piece, and you can do your sampling that way, and you'll know like that this is not the genetic makeup of a human, it's something else, whether it's a Skrull or whatever technology you have. Yeah. So I feel like but you'd have to go through the whole sampling process. Like you can't just be like, oh, the toenail indicates that it's the Skrull. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It would be a lot.
Yeah. Well, in the comics, they draw blood, they test the blood, but then the Skrulls do a thing where they hide the human blood within their body, like a pouch, and they shift around it, and then so like they'll put a pouch here, so then when they draw it from here, so it doesn't blow their cover. There's like a whole thing there, but
so extra.
Instead of cutting off someone's finger, and seeing if they're a Skrull. Is there something smaller we could do?
I'm sure there'll be some device that someone will like eventually invent, and it's just like you can take like a piece of hair, and you can take a toenail, and you can test for if it's a Skrull or not based on the genetic makeup. I'm surprised that doesn't exist in the MCU, just because
not yet.
You would think
right?
It's so technologically advanced that it would have like a genetic marker, but. Maybe, yeah.
I feel like that would be a Tony Stark thing.
Yeah. I also don't think it's hard to make. I just don't think they've thought to do it yet. Also because they didn't know the Skrull infiltration was as bad as it was, so they probably didn't think they would ever have to make something like that. So I think that's probably why nothing like that exists yet.
Yeah.
Right.
This episode starts off with 3 characters. So I have names for these Skrulls. There's Pagon, right? Pagon, there's... so Pagon is the guy who killed... What's his name in the forest last episode?
Okay.
It's like Gravik's right-hand man is Pagon.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Xerxu, which is that older man who is in the beginning. And then there's Beto, who is new.
Right. Okay.
Beto... I think Beto's someone in disguise. Because they keep pushing Beto on us. We don't know anything about him. We just know that he's kind of doing a lot more things. He's rising up the ranks, but who could he be?
Yeah. They also just toss him in for a hot second. I forgot that he was in the episode because he's literally in each episode for what, a minute, 2 minutes?
Fishy.
It's not even, it is fishy. Who is he? What is he doing? What does he want?
I mean, there's one Skrull unaccounted for. Talos's wife.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
What's her name? Soren, I think?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
It's the only Skrull that's unaccounted for. That would make logistical sense. Otherwise, they're not going to just be oh, it's a random Skrull that was infiltrating this whole time. The payoff's not there, right?
Right. That's true. That would be really cool.
Mr. Plow,
and that's true.
Mr. Plow's being all innocent and naive over there in the chat, saying, I think he's our newbie to see how the cult-like terrorists operate. Yeah.
You don't need, you have your major players in the game, and you're okay, you can use that and build off the story from those major players, even if they are new characters. But, inserting a new character to the new characters is just not the move unless there's something else.
Yeah. Yeah,
I agree.
The newbie character could be Fury. Nick Fury's the new character, technically, because he's learning about how these Skrulls are operating, right?
Yeah.
Riddhi, do you have any wild takes? That's gonna what you think is gonna happen? I'm saying it right now. Beto is Soren. I'm throwing it out there.
I don't think that's I think that's a possibility because again, we don't know where the show could go, so it would be very cool if it was Soren.
Yeah.
In a sense, it would be a surprise. So I think that's a very viable and also sensible take. I get your logic.
Yeah.
Do I have any wild takes? I don't know. I think I'm also still not sold that Gaia is dead. I also just when she died, I was does the writer not like women or something?
There's three women who are dead that I don't believe are dead, but I know that not all 3 women are going to be alive. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna be only one. It's gonna be either Gaia, Soren, or Maria Hill.
I don't think it'll be Maria Hill in this show just because it's not her show.
Yeah.
I do think I do think it could be Guy and Soren are alive, but one of them ends up dying at the end, and I do think the one that will die if she comes back to life is Soren.
You
So
think
I
Soren will
think
come back to
that-
life and then die for real?
Yeah, I just
God, it's so
What?
depressing.
I feel like they're not gonna like let her come back and then like live unless like Talos is the one that dies.
I
One
think
of them's
Talos is gonna die. I think Talos is gonna die for real.
Yeah,
Mm.
but that's not a wild take.
I'm just wondering if you
I-
had any like conspiracy theories.
Oh, I thought Rhodey would have been a scroll.
So yeah, Mr. Plow says we saw infiltrated bodies, but we didn't get to see like everybody in the lineup. Like, was Maria Hill in there? Was Rhodey? I don't think Rhodey's taken over. I think this is just Rhodey being Rhodey.
Rhodey.
Rhodey is totally like a lapdog every single time. Like, it doesn't matter to who, but in every time Rhodey appears, he's a lapdog to somebody.
Actually, the
Yeah.
only one where he wasn't was like Avengers Endgame. That was it. Like he really wasn't
That's
to anyone.
true.
It was
That's
more.
true.
It was more of just like for the team, and that's it.
Yeah. But other than that, like
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, he was, remember, like,
Yeah.
Wait, Iron Man 3, was it? Or Iron Man 2, I know, he was a lapdog. 3, is the Iron Patriot armor in the third?
It's in the second. It gets introduced in the second.
No, War Machine gets introduced in the second. But Iron Patriot, that's not in the
So
second,
that would be the
right?
third,
the third,
right?
right?
Because
What's the third? No, I don't think it was introduced in the third. I think it was
the
Civil.
Mr.
Wasn't
Plow
it
says,
Civil?
yeah. That's
When?
the blue and white, the red, white, and blue armor.
I gotta rewatch.
Because that's what
I don't know.
I think the president gets it. Like the president is like stuck, and then the armor goes on the president. Yeah.
Wait, but like, what if Rhodey was a scroll the entire time then? Like,
This
what if
whole
it's not
time?
just for this show?
And it's Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard comes back and he's like, "Next time, baby."
Yeah,
Oh my
I don't know. Like, wasn't one
This-
of the theories that like one of the characters in the MCU has been a scroll the entire time, and we just have no idea? Like, they all haven't been. What if it's Rhodey? Like, I don't know. Why is he the only
Multiverse.
Avenger making cameos? Like,
I mean,
Multiverse of
Ironheart will be
madness.
coming out at some point, and then Armor Wars. So Rhodey will be a main character in those. But you're right, he's just kind of popping in and out. Falcon and Winter
like,
Soldier. This.
yeah.
I mean, I think I agree with Rid. I think he's definitely a scroll, especially at the end of the episode. Like he's on the call with Fury's wife. What's Fury's wife's name again?
Is he on the call? Is that what it?
I mean, it sounded a lot like him.
I thought it was Gravik.
Yeah, I thought it was Gravik.
No, because he was like, I'm speaking on behalf of Gravik. Like, and she's like, oh, I thought I was calling Gravik. And he's like, no, I'm talking.
I thought it's Pagon.
I'm pretty sure.
Then. Remember Pagon?
I really thought it was Rhodey.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
It sounded like Rhodey. It did not sound like anyone but Rhodey, but I could be completely wrong.
I mean, I like how it's making us think and have to like listen to the phone and.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, also in the subtitle, I like watched it with the subtitles and it said man on the phone. I'm like, okay, so it's no one who's like actually cast. There's no reason to hide who this random character is, right? There's a reason to hide if it's like somebody who's working on the inside.
There could be different reasons to hide, but yeah, you're right. Like if it was Pagon, they could have just said Pagon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
See,
like,
I got
what
you
if
thinking.
Rhodey is a scroll? I don't know.
I don't think it's
That's
Rhodey.
my
though.
hot
I
take.
agree.
I don't think it's Rhodey. It could be. I mean,
That's
it could be the president.
I thought the president was a scroll too.
President
but Rhodey
Wilson.
and the president.
Yeah, we haven't. Well, Rhodey could be, and I think it'd be better for Rhodey's character if he wasn't a Skrull, but he realized he's the lapdog for a Skrull, and that makes him doubt himself and like be like, "Oh, I was played for a fool this whole time."
Mm.
You know,
I like that. I like that better, but I don't think I don't think Marvel's gonna do that. You know, because this is a show about like Nick Fury, and that feels like a development thing for Rhodey.
They can
So I don't know
develop
how much
other characters because they have other
for
projects coming
sure.
up, you know?
I mean, yeah, for sure. But like, given the screen time that he's had, I feel like it's kind of
Right.
maybe.
Well, think about it this way. Like, they don't have to do much with Rhodey other than, like, break him. Like, break his confidence, right? Like,
Yeah, true.
right? They're
Yeah.
like, the Skrull invasion had him acting the fool, and then we get to see what comes out of it in Ironheart and what comes out of it in Armor Wars, you know?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
nobody's liking Rhodey right now. The fans were not siding with him. Like, nobody's siding with Rhodey right now. And I like Don Cheadle.
I also
Dude,
like
I
Don
love
Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. He's like one of the better MCU actors, and it's like, why do you have a shitty character?
Yeah. Right.
Like, your character deserves better. Like, that's the thing. It's like Rhodey deserves better.
Yeah.
Right. He really got screwed over.
Yeah. So it starts off with so it starts off with the Skrulls doing the infiltration thing. Then we get to go to New York City, 1998. We see Vara, the Skrull, in the booth, and it's kind of cute to see her and young Fury kind of be like, "Oh, we can hook up because technically I don't exist," and it's kind of circumventing ethics, but I'll allow it. Do you guys like them together? Do you feel like they're going to get divorced? Are they breaking up? Like,
I feel like unfortunately, I feel like she's only married to him for information.
Yes.
I feel like from the start, I think they were on good terms. Like when, Nick laid out all the terms for the Skrulls, but when I think she started to realize like that's not happening and he's starting to get wound up in the Avengers and like doing all this. And we also see how pissed she got during the episode at him, and it kind of just diffused out, and it just doesn't, like, you can't like relinquish that type of anger and just be like, okay, off with the day. I feel like she's trying to get information, or has been getting information from him about him.
Yeah.
I agree. I just like don't think it made like just from like a realistic standpoint, we see Nick Fury so much. Like, we've seen him a decent amount of times, like arguably in almost a lot of the Marvel movies. And we just now find out that like we get confirmation that he actually has a wife, and like, he like has someone outside of his work that like, that's like close to him. I just think it's a transactional relationship. I'm like so on that because yeah, just like given Fury and the way he operates, like he was in space when he could have been with his wife, so it's like, why is the question that he chose that?
I mean, he always would choose his job over like family. That makes sense.
That's true, but then why go down the path of having a family unless it's not for some sort of transactional reason?
Well,
I don't know, for Nick Fury's character.
Yeah.
In life.
Well, I mean, yeah, let's talk about real life here. What are I like them together though. I'd like to believe that they can come out of this. Okay. I don't think that I think she originally, like, they were originally in love, but I think she's working for Gravik now. In those years that she was abandoned by Fury, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, like in those years where she still was like floating out hope that he would help her. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's also like a nice relationship, like, and it's also kind of like embracing that like stereotype of like a man helping a woman. I don't know, maybe she liked that type of relationship and liked that type of like him really owning that type of role. But when he started to step out of it, I feel like, and like also not holding his end of the deal for her people, like, that's like, okay, I guess the best way to say, like, if you're married to a politician and the politician promises your people something huge or whatever, and then that politician never comes through, like, you're going to be pissed at that politician. You're going to want to work for your side and like go against that person, like, obviously.
Yeah. Mr. Plow says, why did Vara stay on Earth? The space station has room enough for two. He could have taken her with. I think he just wanted space. Pun not intended, but whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, hey, baby, let's do a honeymoon in outer space. He's just getting rid of his like everything. He did the
Yeah.
wrong thing. He abandoned everything and everyone, and now everybody hates him for it. Like, I can't defend that.
Yeah.
But I think that's why. He just was gonna abandon everything.
I think it was dumb. Like, half of the world got snapped and not everyone had the luxury of jumping off to space. I think that's so dumb. Like, I feel like the way that they wrote that in, I feel like doesn't do justice to Nick's character, because I'm like, why? Like, half the world did the exact same thing and they didn't jump off to space.
Right. I mean, on a sad note, I think that, like, in the MCU, I'm sure people couldn't deal with the blip afterwards.
Yeah.
And probably, dealt with that themselves.
I definitely agree.
I think, like, in real life, and so, yeah, I don't know. The reality of the blip is super haunting. Nick Fury went to outer space. He got some work done. He did abandon his wife. Interesting thing that I noticed is that his wife's Skrull name is Vara. But later in the house, he calls her Scylla or Skilla. And on the subtitles, it's spelled Scilla. The thing is, it reminds me of the Greek monster, Scylla. And that's from Scylla and Charybdis. Now, Charybdis is a whirlpool that eats ships. And Scylla is a female monster with multiple tentacles. Is this foreshadowing something? Why is her name Scylla? Huh.
I feel like it's like
almost Hydra-like. She has tentacles. Scylla has tentacles, I believe, in Greek mythology.
Gotta look it up.
I'm not saying it's gonna be Hydra, but I'm just saying it's a thing. There's also supposedly a saying that has to do with Scylla and Charybdis, is when you're picking one bad thing or another bad thing. Like, you have to choose which side, so it's like, that might play a part in the plot. What is Fury's Scylla and what is his Charybdis?
I mean, both are bad choices.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to do with like some like type of betrayal. Like, you think you're sailing like in Greek mythology, you think you're sailing on a smooth path, and then suddenly you're confronted by like two choices. Both are terrible, and you're being betrayed by basically your path. And I feel like she's gonna betray him. It's gonna be terrible.
That's kind of what's been happening to Fury this entire show, though, over that, right? Like, it's like, oh, he finds out there's like a million Skrulls who've been under his nose the entire time, and it's like everyone around him suddenly doesn't like him, and so now he's kind of just like, okay, left to deal with, the remnants of like his own mistakes. I feel like he's kind of already on that path, so I think he's about to face like two hard choices that are like the culmination of everything that's been on this path that he's been sailing at. That's already like it's already rocky, and now it's about to get like worse.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's meant to actually evoke that. I mean, it makes sense, And so, I don't know. It's interesting. Also, in 1998, he brings up that he's been taking down Dracov's men, which is a reference to Black Widow.
I found that so interesting too. Like,
yeah.
I think it's just like an Easter egg, though. Like, I don't think it means anything, right?
Probably not. It's just set in the period, right?
Yeah.
I think it's set in the period. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that happened in this episode. We do get a face-to-face between Gravik and Talos in the museum. And Gravik is so smug. I hate him. I like him.
I hate him.
Yeah.
want to punch him.
Yeah.
Or actually, Talos wants to punch him multiple times.
He like chokes him like in that like yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so like it's just he's playing dirty. He's playing so dirty. He goes for a parlay, and lo and behold, the entire cafeteria is just like his men. And Talos like immediately in that moment, like first off, parlay is broken. Like that's immediate betrayal. And like second, like who does that? Like you gotta be like a real jerk to just bring all of your men into like a basically like a truce for a hot sec.
Yeah.
It's like it's just showing off his power, and I think that's so like narcissistic.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's not only narcissistic, it's just he's just playing the rules. Like he has no rules, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
It's like there's no rules with what he's doing. He's not playing by any rules other than his own.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then he has the extremis. He has the extremis powers.
And he also is really obsessed with human extinction for some like not weird reason or like not. But yeah, I just find like the amount of commentary on human nature in this show to be so interesting, especially like from an outside perspective, like the scrolls. Just like given the amount of, I just think it's like very timely in a sense, like given the amount of things you hear in the news about like X risk and everything from certain technologies. It's just like a very timely manner for the show to be having the same discussions. Given the fact that like Secret Invasion used AI for the end credits, I was just like, it makes so much sense why they did it. I just wish it wasn't done the way they did. It like makes me mad. But anyways.
Yeah. Sarah, have you been liking this show so far? How have you been feeling with the 3 episodes? Because I know that like, you know, that sometimes or some of the people that have watched the first 2 episodes, they were like, I don't think the show's gonna be that good. But like, how are you feeling with it?
I like it. It's really good. One of the aspects that I really enjoyed like about the Loki show was like that end scene between Kang, Loki, and Sylvie, and like this whole culmination of like just him explaining what has been happening. And that's basically what Secret Invasion is. It's just like a huge explanation of like what's been happening, why it's a problem, what the scrolls are gonna do. Like that with the action, it's like it's really good. It's pretty damn solid. Yeah. I like it. How about you guys?
I think it's ramping up. I like where it's going. Like it has questions, but it's not one of those what are those shows called? Mystery box kind of shows where it's like they like Lost or like where it'll answer a question and pose 2 more questions. It's not like a mystery box type show, which is nice. I'm glad it's not, but it is ramping up, and there are questions that need answering, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Riddhi?
I also like where the show's heading. I think my main concern, which I repeated multiple times, is like, are those questions going to get answered? And if they do get answered, will they be sufficient enough? And can you wrap it up in 3 episodes? I do like that we've been just getting insight into Nick Fury's character, and I feel like this episode did a decent job at like also accomplishing that, specifically with that conversation between Talos and Nick about like how they've been working for him and everything. So I think in terms of like certain elements, the show is really excelling, and then others, again, it's hard for me to tell because I don't know where the show's gonna go and I don't know what to trust and stuff. So it's like if you can wrap it up really well, I think I'll really like it. So it's just a matter of seeing how that's executed. But I'm curious, so I would say I'm enjoying that.
I'm assuming there's gonna be some big twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope it's done well.
I hope so too. That's a big thing. A big part of this episode was Talos and Nick Fury going on a 2-man mission.
Yeah.
Talos had a big speech in the van, and then he's like, what? We're here. Like,
oh my God, their dynamic for the whole episode was just like bouncing off one another, like
Mhm.
just like sly burns. I need an entire TV show, just them. It needs to be some sort of like sitcom, like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine with them too.
I like them together.
I like them as well.
Me
They're really
too.
great.
What's very interesting about their characters together is that even though there are foils for each other, it's not like one's the smart one, one's the dumb one. They're both at the
Yeah.
height of their intelligence. They're both,
Hmm.
professionals, but their personalities great against each other, and
Yeah.
it works. They're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
opposites though.
Right. And wait, I think we saw that in this episode is like that contrast, especially when they were going to the house, like the different decisions both characters made.
Yeah.
Like Talos passed the kid's room, went to the next floor. Nick Fury noticed that like Talos was captured, used the kid as leverage, which I don't think Talos would have done. Nick Fury was like ready to shoot the guy who was like doing the commands, and
Yeah.
Talos was not until the very like until he mentioned his daughter, and he's like, okay, you know what, last straw, you're gone. But Talos definitely seems a little bit more withholding and a little bit more gracious rather than Nick Fury, who's not.
Yeah. Um Talos was also very nice to the boy,
Mhm.
Mm,
trying to give him water and whatever. I think Talos felt bad. The thing about Nick is, as far as we know, Nick doesn't have kids. Talos does.
right.
Talos is a father. Nick is not,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is okay. But it also just means Nick just doesn't have. He's not. To an extent, Nick is less human than Talos is.
Right.
You know.
Hmm.
Yep.
Um, Mr. Plow brought up a good point. The scroll of Bob, right? Is that his name? Bob something?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. It's
Um,
Bob.
Mr. Plow says the scroll cared about Bob's son, which
Yeah, I
shouldn't
noticed that as
happen
well.
with infiltrators.
I was
Right.
literally just going to ask a question about that. Like, I swear, you guys are on my mind. So the question I was gonna ask is, do you think that as Skrulls, the more time they inhibit human bodies and they take on a certain identity, like, do they start like having a conflict between like, do I be Skrull or do I become human? And how that like changes their psyche. I was literally about to ask that, and I was like, I don't know if that's relevant, so I'm not gonna say it. But like, that's exactly what I was just thinking of, and you just like hit the jackpot right there.
That's a good question. I mean, I think the whole point, if they're going to teach us a lesson, is that like Skrulls and humans aren't that different, right? Gravik.
Yeah.
The funny is, Gravik keeps proving he's a hypocrite because he keeps saying things like all these miscreants know is murder, and then he's like, I want to like have blood everywhere, or whatever, like he said. And it's like,
Yeah.
don't you realize you're exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So I think the whole point is like humans and Skrulls aren't that different, and that what ends up
Mhm.
happening is when you infiltrate and take over somebody's life, you start like empathizing and connecting with the
Mhm.
humans that you're infiltrating.
So then
Yeah.
that begs the question: is who did Gravik take over?
I don't
Who?
think
Because
I don't think sometimes I don't think they do. Like for
okay.
instance, in that one scene where all the like the 20 Skrulls are like, I'll stand by you, Nick Fury.
Hmm.
They turn into
Yeah, they
human
just
form,
changed.
but it doesn't mean they
Mhm.
stole the identity from someone,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you're questioning like the human psyche, I feel like it's more if you have the memories of another person
Yeah.
and like develop those further, like then you're starting to develop that connection, like a really interpersonal
Hmm.
connection with like whomever you're interacting with.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's a little
Oh,
bit harder if you're just a scroll.
Oh, for sure.
Like yeah, you're living on Earth, but maybe it's a little bit harder.
did you notice that the memories when Gaia is going through the memories of the guy,
Mm,
that it's a lot of him and his son?
yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot. I was like actually nervous. I'm like, is she ever gonna get to the coast?
Right.
There's a lot of this kid.
I think that's the point, though, right? Because the password was Zachary.
Yeah.
You know, Zachary. I don't like that name. Sorry to all the Zachs I know out there. Though it's probably easy to rhyme. Out of all the names, Zach would be very easy.
Zach Attack.
Yeah, Big Mac Zach. Take Zach out for a Big Mac.
Zach.
Come on, Zach, put on your backpack. Anyway, yes. So there's a lot going on there, and I hope they dive a little bit more into that because that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Also, Skilla, Vara, whatever, gets a gun at the end. After Gaia is dead, Gaia gets shot. Whose gun is that? Who's it for? What is going on?
No idea.
I think Vara is a double agent. I'm just coming up with this now. Because Gaia dies and then Vara has to go get a gun. I think that's for protection in case Gravik comes after her.
Oh.
Like shit's about to hit the fan. You need to have a gun to protect you.
But how would she have known?
Somebody told her.
That
Somebody called her, right?
But yeah, but they called her after she had gotten the gun.
Okay.
So who called her? So who told her? Like, I feel like between it was night when she died and like, but like of all people, why? It doesn't make any, I don't know.
I don't know. We also get a name for that Fox News guy. Whatever, it's not Fox News, but his name is Stearns. So we hadn't gotten him. He's on the council though. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
You know. But there's a couple of I had way less notes for this episode than I did last week. Last week I had 2 whole pages. This week I didn't even finish 1 page.
It was pretty clear. I mean, like everything kind of took place in their chunks, and it was just kind of it flowed very seamlessly. So definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I think with this episode, like it was more of just like here's the final elements of setting the stage for what's to come next. I feel like there wasn't that much to go through as well. Like there was like a lot more smaller stuff. So
can Skrulls mind read other Skrulls?
I don't think so.
You know, like what do? They touch their person?
Yeah, but that's like to gather their memories.
Yeah.
Right.
But can they do that for another Skrull? Can they gather the memories of a Skrull?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, why isn't Talos taking this guy's like Bob's memories?
Probably because
like,
he can't, right?
Right. Yeah. I was like, that would be like the easiest way to do this is to just pin him down, get it out, and go.
Yeah.
I guess not.
There must have been just one human on that whole compound, which was the kid. Because all the security guards were Skrulls.
Oh, for sure.
And Bob was a Skrull. So.
Love Bob.
Bob. Whatever his last name was.
No, we just care about the first name.
Yeah.
It's Bob.
We get Sonya Fallsworth in this episode. She doesn't do much. But she found Nick Fury's spy cam.
Yeah, she's also a little sus. I feel like she's running like a other side operation, or I feel like she's running her own thing. She feels like a vigilante kind of.
There's a group in the comics called the Skrull Kill Crew. And the Skrull Kill Crew, one of them has goggles that'll show you if someone's a Skrull or not, and they just kill them. They'll kill any Skrull in disguise. And
is this on Earth?
Yeah. So there's this comic where one of the Skrulls is posing as a superhero, but he has turned good, and he wants to be that superhero, and then his brain explodes. Like they just shoot him through that, and like it's like, oh, they're killing all the Skrulls. I wonder if the Skrull kill crew will play a part. If anything, Fallsworth would lead a Skrull kill crew. You know?
That's like sad though, because the whole point of them going to Earth was to escape the Kree, and now they're gonna be like facing the same thing. So it's like, okay, where do you go from there? I guess.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm surprised. I don't have any of the Guardians ever ran into the Skrulls, because I can't remember if we've seen a Skrull in a Guardian movie, which I feel like
No. We've seen
could have happened.
Kree.
Right? Yeah, we've seen Kree. We haven't
Yeah.
seen Skrull though.
Haven't seen Skrull.
Okay. I don't know. I just think in my mind that like every single part of space MCU should interact. So surprised I haven't seen like
it's kind of like Star Wars also does, but Star Wars has different sectors of space. Like people don't tend to go outside their sector.
Yeah.
So there's different, races on different parts, and they don't really leave much. So, Mr. Plow says she has a dossier with some photos. So maybe she's starting to track down who's in disguise.
Could be.
Yeah. We got 3 episodes left. We got 3 episodes left. So we're 3 episodes in. Only 3 episodes left. Will this stick its landing? I mean, it's been going up and up, I think. Do you guys feel that way?
I feel like, yeah, this was like definitely peak episode right here.
Yeah.
I don't know how much higher it can go from here.
We're gonna get like some big things. Something's going down.
I feel like it can only go higher. I feel like they've been laying the groundwork a lot the past 3 episodes. I also feel like it's been quite a fast-paced show. I feel like there's been a lot happening in each episode, so something big is going to go down, and I think I'm really interested to see what it is and how it's executed with just 3 episodes left.
Yeah. I'm excited. Before we get going, do we have any crazy theories we want to throw out there before get it, put it down on paper, so that if it happens next episode, we're like, yeah, I was right. By the way, I was right that Nick knew Vara was a Skrull. I was right about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any for this episode. I had a lot for last time, but I don't think I have any this time.
I still think Rhodey's gonna play a huge role. Like, okay, yeah. I feel like we all know this, but like Rhodey's gonna play a big role in the finale. Whether or not he's a Skrull, I do agree with you, Dimithri, that something's gonna happen to Rhodey that's related to a Skrull, and I'm very intrigued to see what that is. Whether that be like the president being a Skrull, or I don't know, but I think Rhodey's gonna have some run-in with a Skrull.
Yeah, there's something big. Also, I think somebody's coming back. Gaia, Soren, or Maria. One of those 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be all 3. There is a small possibility there it's 2, depending on how they do it, but at least 1.
I agree.
That Beto guy, I'm telling you.
Super sus.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming on this episode and talking about Secret Invasion, episode 3. Before we get going, though, Sarah, you are a special guest. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Where can we find you online? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Sure. So online, I'm at movies_and_T, because my movies. I am on TikTok.
I thought it's dot. I thought they're dots.
I changed it today.
You changed it today? I made this display to say. Okay, why would you? Okay, what? Tell me why you changed it. Why'd you go from dots to underscores?
I felt the dots were too aggressive.
Underscores are way more aggressive.
You know what? It was me changing it here at 12:30 a.m. I'm like, let's do it now.
You literally did it right now before you hopped on this show?
Yeah.
Because I looked up your information earlier today when I was putting together the display. I was like...
Yeah, it was probably an hour ago.
All right.
Yeah, anyways, it is that. I'm at Movies and Tea on Twitter and on Instagram.
Soon to be Threads.
Yes. We'll see.
Twitter's going down.
It depends if I update my Instagram or not.
Okay.
And then upcoming, nothing. I mean, I'm going to New York Comic Con, but that's kind of far away.
Nice.
But for now, nothing
I was
much.
thinking
Just
about
the
it,
summer.
but I'm not.
You should come.
I can't this year. I'm doing so much for San Diego Comic Con this year.
Okay, it makes sense. Choose San Diego, obviously. But
Well,
yeah,
I did.
I'm excited for that.
So, you
Oh,
know.
okay, I'm just reaffirming.
But thank you. New York Comic Con looks fun though. I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's
just
guest
list.
When you go, it's the flight and the hotel. Like it's
sure
everything.
Yeah.
So
it's a schlep, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to San Diego Comic Con. But New York Comic Con's cool for you. That's your neck of the woods.
It definitely is.
Thank you for taking time out of your night to be on here. I mean, we switch up special guests every single episode, but I'm happy that I got you for this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I was like happy to do this at least once.
Yeah. Before we get going, Riddhi, where can we find you online?
You can find me Movies with Rid on Twitter, maybe Threads if I feel like I have enough energy. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Movies with Riddhi. Do I have anything coming up? I don't think I have anything coming up. Hopefully, just maybe a YouTube podcast. I don't know. Depends on how I feel. But yeah, you can find me there, and I'm always down to talk movies, mostly. And yeah, thank you for having me on here, and I will see you guys not for episode 4, but episode 5.
That's right.
The co-host.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You'll be back for episode 5. For anyone out there who is watching us, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. If you're listening to the podcast, it's wherever you get your podcast from. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. If you are on social media, you can find us on social media on our Twitter. No, well, we are on Twitter. On our Instagram and TikTok, those are our 2 biggest social media platforms at The Keeg Show. We are also on Facebook and Twitter at The Keeg Show /The Keeg Show. If you want to give back to The Keeg, go to patreon.com/The Keeg Show and find a donation tier to subscribe to for something as little as $5 a month. If you want to give back to The Keeg. We got a lot of shows here with The Keeg. This is the Secret Invasion After Show, and it's Wednesday nights. We also have Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We have Comic Talk, where we talk about that week's new comics that came out. And then every weekend we do another episode of The Keeg Talks. So we just did one for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then next week, or this upcoming week, we're doing Star Trek. Because there's a lot of Star Trek stuff out and have been out. This is a Star Trek Renaissance. And we're going to be talking about Star Trek on Saturday. Saturday the 8th, maybe. Whatever that is. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody, for coming on the show. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and co-host
Riddhi.
And this has been the Secret Invasion After Show for episode 3. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.